This story is titled, My Wife Has Been Texting Her Ex Late at Night and Gets Angry When I Ask Her About It. I never thought I'd be the kind of man who doubted his wife. I was always the one who believed in trust, in giving the benefit of the doubt. But trust is a fragile thing. Once cracks begin to form, they spread fast. My name is James. I'm 56 years old and I've been married to my wife Laura for 15 years. We built a life together, one I thought was strong, steady. She was my best friend, my partner, the person I shared every part of my world with. But lately, something had changed. It started small, little things that didn't seem worth worrying about. She started staying up later than usual, long after I'd gone to bed. I'd wake up in the middle of the night and find her sitting in the living room, her face dimly lit by the glow of her phone. I told myself it was nothing, just a habit, just scrolling through news or watching videos. But then I noticed the way she would quickly lock her screen when I entered the room, the way her body tensed when I asked what she was looking at, the way she started taking her phone with her everywhere, even to the bathroom. I wanted to ignore it. I wanted to be the husband who didn't pry, who trusted without question. But the seed of doubt had already been planted. One night, I woke up again to find her missing from bed. The clock read 2:13 a.m. I got up, padding quietly into the living room. There she was, curled up on the couch, phone in hand. She didn't hear me at first. She was too absorbed in whatever was on the screen, a small smile tugging at her lips. "Laura?" My voice was groggy, thick with sleep. She jumped, locking the phone so fast I barely had time to see anything. But I saw enough. A name. A contact saved as Mike. She turned to me, her face shifting quickly from shock to irritation. "What are you doing up?" I frowned. "I could ask you the same thing." She stood up, brushing past me. I couldn't sleep. I was just reading. Reading? At 2 a.m.? With her phone clutched in her hands like it held a secret? I let it slide that night, but the doubt only grew. Over the next few weeks, it became a pattern. She was distracted, distant. Conversations felt forced. She laughed at her phone more than she laughed with me. One evening, as we sat on the porch watching the sunset, I finally asked, "Who's Mike?" Her whole body stiffened. It was so quick, so involuntary that I knew she had something to hide. She scoffed. "What?" "I saw the name on your phone the other night," I said carefully. "Who is he?" Her reaction wasn't what I expected. She didn't look guilty. She looked angry. "Are you seriously checking my phone now?" she snapped. I blinked, taken aback. "I wasn't checking." "Yes, you were." She stood up, crossing her arms. "This is ridiculous, James." Ridiculous. She was making me the villain. I kept my voice steady. "I just want to know the truth." She exhaled sharply, running a hand through her hair. "It's Mike. My ex. We've been talking, okay? But it's nothing." My stomach dropped. Nothing. That word felt like a slap in the face. "Why didn't you tell me?" Her eyes darted away. "Because I knew you'd react like this. Like this. Like a man who just found out his wife had been secretly talking to her ex in the middle of the night." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Laura, do you still have feelings for him?" She didn't answer right away. That silence was louder than any words she could have spoken. I felt something inside me crack. "Unbelievable," I muttered, rubbing my face. She stepped forward, her voice suddenly softer. "James, it's not what you think. We're just catching up. It's harmless." "Harmless?" I let out a hollow laugh. "You've been sneaking around for weeks. If it's harmless, why did you hide it from me?" She didn't have an answer for that. I shook my head. "I don't understand." "Do you love me, Laura?" Her eyes met mine, and for the first time I saw it, the hesitation, the doubt. She loved me. I believed that. But maybe, just maybe, she also loved him. A sharp ache spread through my chest. I turned away, stepping back toward the house. "Where are you going?" she asked. "I need some air," I mumbled. She didn't stop me, and somehow that hurt them. I drove for hours, the road stretching endlessly before me. My hands gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white. How had this happened? How had we, a couple that had survived so much, ended up here? I thought about all the years we had shared, the laughter, the fights, the nights spent wrapped up in each other. I thought about the quiet moments, the ones that seemed insignificant at the time but now felt monumental. Had it all been leading to this? I pulled into a deserted parking lot and leaned back in my seat, staring up the night sky. Could I forgive her? Could I trust her again? Or was this the beginning of the end? I didn't have an answer. Not yet. But I knew one thing for sure. When I went home, things would never be the same. I sat in the car for what felt like hours, staring at the empty road ahead of me. My mind kept circling the same thought. Was I losing my wife, or had I already lost her? 15 years of marriage, and now I was questioning everything. I wanted to believe her, to take her words at face value. It's nothing. That's what she said. But if it were truly nothing, why did it feel like everything? Eventually, exhaustion pulled me home. The house was quiet when I stepped inside. I half expected Laura to be waiting for me, maybe pacing, maybe apologizing. But she wasn't. She was in bed, asleep, like nothing had happened. That hurt more than I expected. I stood in the doorway watching her. She looked peaceful, unbothered. Meanwhile, I was unraveling. I climbed into bed, but sleep never came. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her, sitting in the glow of her phone, smiling at a message that wasn't from me. Morning came, and with it, a heaviness I couldn't shake. Laura moved around the kitchen, making coffee like she always did. The normalcy of it felt surreal. She turned when she saw me. "You didn't come to bed until late," she said, her tone neutral. "I went for a drive," I answered. She nodded, but didn't ask anything more. It was like she was waiting for me to drop it. But I couldn't. I set my coffee down. "Are you in love with him?" Her head snapped up. "James, just answer me." She inhaled sharply. "I don't know." My chest tightened. "You don't know?" She ran a hand over her face, looking frustrated. "It's complicated." "No, Laura, it's really not." I leaned forward. "I'm your husband. I deserve to know if I'm sharing my life with someone who's only half here." She exhaled, shaking her head. "I love you, James, but I don't know how I feel about him. He was my first love. There's history there. Talking to him again, it stirred things up." I clenched my jaw. "So where does that leave us?" She looked away. And in that moment, I knew. I had been holding on to something that wasn't mine anymore. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. "I won't be the man you settle for, Laura." Tears welled in her eyes. "I don't want to lose you." I swallowed the lump in my throat. "Then you shouldn't have let him back in." A long silence stretched between us, the kind that meant something was breaking. I turned, walking toward the door. "Where are you going?" she asked, her voice trembling. I paused, but didn't turn around. "To figure out what I deserve." And with that, I walked out. For the first time in 15 years, I didn't know if I was coming back. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Have you ever had to question the loyalty of someone you loved? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if you